My name is Larry Busby. I am a suicide survivor. I suffered from severe depression and alcoholism. I'm a state park ranger who work for the state of Florida. I have been for over 20 years. Originally, I'm from a little town in Kentucky called Shepherdsville. When I was a child, I really didn't have any idea what I wanted to do until I got into high school. And I got into vocational school. They did graphic arts, and they had a darkroom for the reproduction camera, because oftentimes we would have to take a picture of an item and we would develop a negative, and then we would make a plate. So when I was in the darkroom, I had so much fun while I was in there, and my instructor noticed that I had taken to the darkroom, and he loaned me a camera. Well, the various recruiters came to school one day, and they had a career day, and I knew that I wasn't going to have any college. I knew there was no way for me to be able to attend a college or anything like that. So I decided on the military, and the Navy really interested me. They asked me what I wanted to do in the Navy, and I had to pick 3 things, and one of them was I wanted to be a photographer. It all started with that camera that a teacher loaned to me. I had graduated from Bullitt Central High School. I joined the Navy in 1978. They provided me with professional training, which was Naval Schools of Photography. So I became a Navy photographer's mate from that point. And then as I progressed throughout my career, I had an opportunity to go through Naval Air Crew training, be able to fly on naval aircraft, eventually assigned to a patrol squadron. We flew P-3 Orions, which were basically Navy spy planes. After I left the Navy, I had this training that had been instilled in me to not feel, or to stuff my feelings. So this is how I dealt with my life, all the way up to the point to where I broke. There was all kinds of things going on in my life. My parents weren't doing well. I ended up taking care of them, ended up taking care of their house. I was taking care of my house, had to take over giving them their meds because they couldn't. My mother had dementia. My stepfather was basically too weak. He just physically, he couldn't do much. So I was having to deal with all that stress, getting them to doctors and have a full-time job. And then my work, the state was cutting employees. So I had all this mental stress. I started drinking again, and I drank for about 5 more years, and it just got worse and worse and worse. And it just got to a point where my wife couldn't deal with it anymore. She left me. 3 years ago, I was Baker acted and taken to the Bay Pines VA, C.W. Bill Young Medical Center. I spent a few days on the flight deck, or the psych ward, for those that don't know what the flight deck is. And while I was up there, I was able to receive some counseling and talk to some therapists and some psychiatrists. And that began the road to my recovery. I was concerned that once I left there, I wasn't sure if I still had my job. That was questionable. I was facing some legal issues that I was going to have to deal with, and I didn't have any place to go. I was basically homeless. So they started to work with me to try to find me some sober living transitional housing. There is a program for veterans called the Grant Per Diem program, and they worked with a couple of organizations in St. Petersburg. One of them was the Mustard Seed, and that's basically where I ended up going. Dual diagnosis was depression and alcoholism. There's an anxiety disorder, so I don't know the exact medical term. But it's because I went through a rehab in 1985, it can be proved that I've had this problem since I've been in the Navy. And you know, years after I joined the Navy in 1978, so my problems actually started while I was in the Navy. But right now, the most important thing is that I've gotten help from the VA, I've gotten help from WestCare, and I've gotten help from the Veterans Arts Center. Those have all contributed to my success. Without the VA, or without the WestCare, or without Veterans Arts Center, I don't think I would be as successful as I am today. So I'm very grateful. Some of the things that I learned while I was at the Mustard Seed through our counseling there was to learn how to pray and meditate, which was very helpful. The other thing that I learned there was to get involved, help people. do what's called service work. Today, I'm no longer at the Mustard Seed, but I've continued through the Veterans Arts Center, and I'm still able to do service work. I've got my art on display. Using the camera is actually a form of prayer and meditation for me. So it is therapy. So I continue that through the Veterans Arts Center, what I learned at the Mustard Seed. It's carried over. I'm learning advanced techniques, if you will, or I'm building on what I learned there through the Arts Center. And the Arts Center gives me that opportunity to do that. And again, I'm helping people there. I've become the volunteer coordinator. My goal is to turn my art into a form of income. What I do today within my camera and on my computer, it would take me days or weeks in a darkroom, in a lab setting, a wet lab setting, to do what I can do in hours. My aluminum prints are my high-end fine art prints. I believe it's a longer lasting medium. You don't have to worry about it. It's not paper. Paper's susceptible to moisture, scratches, lighting, help fade it. They fade over time. Where my metal prints are, it's dye etched in the metal. Thanks to the VA, thanks to the Mustard Seed, and thanks to the Veteran Arts Center, they've all contributed to this so that I can work towards obtaining these goals. And I've got 5 years before I retire. So I'm really just now starting, but I'm also seeing my artwork selling, and I've just really started. So what are the possibilities? 5 more years, my goodness. I can't even begin to fathom what it's going to be like in 5 years if it's this good now.